Nathan. This is the At Odds Show. Please listen.
Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. And when your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Welcome to another episode of At Odds.
Hello.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Nate.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to take you on a journey through the political jungle, where we're broadcasting from the back room of the Cash and Carry pub and studio in a large city. In what country, Nate?
Bahrain.
Yes. Really?
Yes,
Bahrain.
we are.
Did you ever find your passport?
I did find my passport.
Okay.
It had the wrong picture on it.
Right. I saw that.
Yeah. So
yeah. It was a small, young female. I don't know how they could make. Well, I could kind of see how
similar,
they make.
But she had dark hair.
Mistake, yeah.
So
otherwise, the facial features are exactly the same. You do look like an effeminate. Well, I guess that's redundant, isn't it?
It is.
Effeminate female.
Well, not always.
I suppose. I guess there are some masculine females.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, those sites you like to check out is definitely not redundant.
Oh, wow, okay.
Although the term female might not apply either, so it's hard to say.
Snap. Well, today's show will
That's what you get for writing on my Second Amendment mouse pad.
I'm sorry. I was trying to send you a message during the intro, and he slapped my hand, which I don't appreciate.
Yeah.
Today's show will be discussing non-citizen voting rights, the ethics, I say ethics kind of tongue-in-cheek, of the IRS audits, the Justice Department's acquisition, I'll say acquisition because that's a nice word, of the Associated Press personnel's phone records, and much, much more.
I thought maybe acquisition, they bought some property or
I think that's what they did.
Millions of rounds of ammunition because it was a good deal. Or was that a different department?
Small island off the coast of Guatemala.
Oh, but just be careful so it doesn't tip over.
No, that was Guam.
Well,
all the islands can tip over. Everyone knows that.
What if the Earth tips over? That would be a problem because gravity wouldn't work.
I find that gravity works very well when I trip.
It does.
It's amazing how fast the Earth comes up and hits me in the face.
It's amazing how much alcohol affects gravity. It makes it that much stronger.
Yeah. Was it you win again, gravity?
Yep.
Well, we have a guest tonight. His name's Bob Burg. He's the author of The Go-Giver, a book which illustrates the five laws of stratospheric success, and teaches the main character of the book how to open himself up to the power of giving. Can a subtle shift in focus really make that big of a difference in your business and your income? Our guest says absolutely yes. So please stay tuned to the show. We also want to remind you that this is a live call-in show. You can call At Odds at 248-455-ODDS, 248-455, that's 6337.
Yeah, right now we're live. It's Tuesday night. Next week might be on Thursday, I'm thinking.
Well, is it or isn't it? I mean,
since we decided that it was.
Missed the pre-show meeting.
Yes, I know you did.
Okay, but we haven't decided on a time.
We haven't, no. We will post that time this week yet, though. So
we'll
be on our Facebook, facebook.com/@oddshow, and we'll also update our website at oddshow.com.
We also would love you to check out our book that we wrote. It's a kid's book called My Parents Open Carry, about a day in the life of Brenna and her parents who open carry handguns for the protection of themselves and their family. It's a great pro Second Amendment kids book. Check that out at www.myparentsopencarry.com. Also, check out the Nate Nephew Show. Nate has a show of his own. He's trying to get rid of me. I by the way, I didn't receive my last paycheck. I don't know. And I like my stapler.
We're going to have to move you to the basement.
Give me my stapler. Check out Nathan. That's hanging around some of my friends from the South. Oh, I just incriminated. Not incriminated.
Nope. Offended is the word.
That's the word I'm looking for. Offended. A bunch of my friends from the South.
And our listeners.
Nathan Nephew.
Hey, NathanNephew.com.
That's right. Check him out. It's a great show. He gets to vent, scream, holler, and best of all, I'm not there. Let's see. Do we want to look into the IRS probe? I said probe?
I don't know if we want to, since you put it that way.
Oh, boy. What's going on with that? It's not like the first time this has happened in an administration. Other presidents have used the IRS to intimidate political rivals. This is still coming out. Information is still coming out. You said there was some report released just recently, 53 pages. They were examining
54 with a cover page.
Okay. They were examining some of the questions that were asked for these nonprofit social welfare status applications. And what did they find? They said
it was the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration.
That's
their report. Yeah, the report came out, and there were 9 points of contention, questions that these groups were at: Tea Party groups, groups with Patriot in the name, 912 groups, Glenn Beck type stuff, and there were even reports of some religious groups, a Jewish religious group being targeted and things, and basically they were just given a pile of paperwork and said, here, fill out this paperwork. Of course we'll do what you want, but fill out all this paperwork. The report lists 7 questions that were asked, or requests for information
that they thought were questionable.
That they thought were questionable, inappropriate.
Yeah.
Requests the names of donors to these groups.
That's bad juju.
Requests a list of all issues that are important to the organization and asks that the organization indicate its position regarding such issues.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Request 1, the role and activities of the audience and participants other than members in the activity, and 2, the type of conversations and discussions members and participants had during the activity.
Yeah, that's crap.
Asks whether the officer, director, etc. has run or will run for political office.
Oh, okay. How can you answer
Will you
that?
ever run for political office?
I don't know.
Don't know. You better not lie, though, because you'll end up in jail. Right? So, I mean, how do you answer that one? Requests the political affiliation of the officer, director, speakers, candidates, etc., or otherwise refers to the relationship with identified political party, related organization. So what?
Those are them. Those are the things they found objectionable.
Yeah. So what party are you affiliated with? Are you a Republican? If you're a Democrat, that's fine. We'll just push you through. But if you're a Republican, no.
I just want to add that you and I have started a nonprofit organization. It wasn't social welfare, but it was a nonprofit pro Second Amendment organization, and we filed for it in Michigan, which is the state where we're located, and we haven't gone to the federal level at the time we were involved. But I looked at the paperwork, and it was pretty what do I want to say?
It's generally not an easy process.
No, it takes a lot, and attorneys make
onerous.
a lot of money, helping you do that. But the thing is, we were volunteer, and it was just a couple of people that were involved. And to add all of this extra, what do I want to say, work that's involved, it's a burden.
It's very onerous.
To try to get, a nonprofit status is a little tough, because you end up with one person doing all the work, and usually it's a non-paid position.
And speaking of being not paid to volunteers, point number 6, requests information regarding employment other than for this organization, including hours worked. And then the last one that they have on the report, requests information regarding activities of another organization, not just the relationship of the other organization to the applicant. So not only what have you done for the organization that's applying, what have you done for other organizations that are not affiliated?
Yeah, and I guess there was some information that there were 7 Democratic senators that wrote a letter a year or longer ago, asking the IRS to look into these social welfare organizations and nonprofits with political status to look for key words. So, it sounds politically motivated.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what Eric Holder came out and said, well, it wasn't good that the IRS was bad people, but these organizations are social welfare organizations using this nonprofit status, tax-exempt status, to get tax-free donations for political campaigns. And yeah, I don't know about that. Let's think about which candidate had actual, legal trouble with his campaign donations. It turns out it was our current president.
Was it the Eisenhower administration?
No, well, probably, but I'm talking about Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay.
I mean,
you have to use his middle name.
He made a plea that he wishes.
Why you got to hate?
He wishes people could use his middle name
more.
Yeah, because it's so weird that he looks down upon Americans so much that he thought that we couldn't use his middle name because it was offensive. I use his middle name.
I understand, because my middle name is very, sensitive. I mean,
Ferdinand, that's a weird middle name.
No, it's not Ferdinand.
I love your middle name, Brian.
It's Hitler.
Is that worse than Hussein? I don't know.
I don't know.
It is. Just because of the mustache.
I don't know. Oh, well, they both have mustaches. Just you're judging them on the mustache.
Yeah, but Hitler ruined that mustache.
He did.
You could not wear it.
I love that mustache.
I mean, you have one.
No,
but you're not supposed to have it. So. No, what you have to remember: who's going to be in the enforcement arm of Obamacare when it's in full effect next year?
Oh, didn't they hire like 4 billion new IRS?
Which department?
IRS.
The IRS.
Yeah. Huh.
So
which department are they arming?
Oh, I don't know. Was it the IRS?
Yeah, the IRS.
So
which one? Okay.
when you're filing for tax exempt status for a nonprofit group, and you get all this paperwork, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. It's onerous. Yeah. It shouldn't happen. Yeah. It can cost in elections, which I think it probably had some play in that.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting on a hospital bed, right, or your wife is or something, and you're handed the same stack of paperwork because they want to know what activities you've been involved in. I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know what you're... Oh, you're talking about... Oh, okay.
Well, they're running Obamacare. I don't see why they would do it any differently.
Healthcare versus...
This needs to be... Well, it's too late to nip it in the bud, right? We should have done that 200 years ago. But, well, yeah.
Less than that.
But 200 years ago, we should have put things in place to make sure this wouldn't happen. I think that would be good.
The IRS was... okay.
No, I understand
Federal
that.
income tax.
That's not my point.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
I know that. I know that. Well, the point is, these things don't get better with time.
No, and the more power you give federal government, the more these types of things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said earlier, it's not the first administration to sort of use the power of the IRS to intimidate political rivals, but it's wrong.
It's very wrong.
I mean, they're supposed to be a nonpartisan organization.
At least we still have free press and our Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine a presidential administration intimidating the media in any way whatsoever.
No, and they wouldn't.
They would be wrong.
Now, you know what's funny about that is the media in general has been lapdogs for this administration.
Yeah, I mean...
They've done nothing but kiss their ass and report whatever they want.
Could you imagine a presidency that actually tried to get documents relating to the free press? It would never happen.
No, that would never happen. Never anything related to like phone calls that people made from their home phones.
I'm getting.
I mean, luckily this is the United States of America, and we don't have to worry about it.
You're kidding me. Yeah,
Brian's on the phone. This better be important. Is all I'm saying.
Well, apparently, I don't know. This hasn't been verified, but apparently, the Justice Department has somehow acquired all kinds of phone logs and communications of Associated Press personnel, home records, cell phones, and business phones.
Wow!
Wait a minute,
including a
really not. And apparently,
including an office-wide fax machine.
It was this administration that did that.
It was 2 months worth of phone records from the AP, who just happened. Let's see, what were they working on?
Who's in charge of?
They were working on a story involving the CIA and Yemen and Al Qaeda.
Apparently, there was some leak of information, or a media had a source of the story, and
no.
They wanted.
You're telling me that the largest press organization in the United States, possibly the world, I don't know how big Al Jazeera
actually
is,
has sources,
but has sources
worldwide
sources. So yeah, essentially what happened is some information allegedly leaked to the AP. AP had a whistleblower, right, which is the term we like to use now because there's protections for whistleblowers and labels matter, right? And the CIA, the Justice Department, thinks that it shouldn't have leaked. And in fact, Eric Holder went on to say that this is either the worst or in the top 2 of worst leaks he's seen. Because and it's funny because he actually has been involved in several leaks of information, most of them orchestrated by the White House.
By the Justice Department.
He said this is a really bad leak. So they absolutely were justified in, getting these phone records from the AP.
I'm assuming that there's some kind of Fourth Amendment types of things in there about.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that
illegal
there
search
was
and
no
seizure.
Warrant, no notice. In fact, the last I heard, the AP, their executive editor, hadn't been told why the Justice Department grabbed these records.
And how does the media feel about that now?
Well, you know what's funny? I mean, we have MSNBC,
CNN,
the
CBS.
AP now, CBS. They're upset.
NBC.
They are up in arms about this.
This administration, how dare they? After everything we've done for you,
and
everything we've done for you, you turn around and stab us in the back.
And that's
how
exactly
dare you, sir? How dare you?
Yeah, and you know
we
what?
are above you. We are the media. We are the fourth estate, right after the church, nobility, and the commoners. If we were in France. And that may be over the head of some of our listeners. I don't know.
Well, no, I don't think it's over their heads, Brian. I think they're very intelligent.
Did I just insult
people.
some more?
Yeah, so we don't have the South anymore, and we don't have our listeners anymore. I'll just talk to you then, Brian. These are the things that you and I, others in talk radio, Fox News, have been saying for years.
For a long time.
That this kind of stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And it's always, no, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's crazy.
Well, I saw...
reject the voices that warn of tyranny.
I saw an article that showed the relationships between all the media presidents, the major media presidents, and Obama positions in the White House.
Jay Carney has a wife at ABC?
Yeah, and there's a lot more. I mean, every major liberal media network has a spouse or a sibling, a brother or sister, in the Obama administration.
You going to tell me that's not strategic?
I'm going to say it's a coincidence. Just purely a coincidence.
I'm going to take call line 2 here. Thanks for calling At Odds. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
You still talking about Benghazi?
No, we're talking about the Justice Department going into the AP phone records and getting data, and how the media now is starting to say, oh, that Obama may not be the great messiah that we thought.
Oh, they're discovering something new?
That's what we were just talking about. It's, most of the other more conservative news networks have been talking about this for years, and all of a sudden, how dare Obama turn on us after everything we've done for you?
Well, yeah, I use Yahoo News for my my home site, or my whatever you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I click on there and go through. The other day I watched the Congress drilling the people about Benghazi, and I went into Yahoo and looked through all the news and stuff. Not one mention, but all of a sudden, the leftist media, I call them, they're like 95% of them are liberal, and you hear nothing true there most of the time. They're all of a sudden, the AP, runs into Holder getting their phone records and stuff like that. No, we got a First Amendment problem here now. Forget about all the other amendments.
And a Fourth Amendment
with for years.
and a Fourth Amendment issue because they got these records without warrants.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
those seem to be the only, the only rights that they care about are the ones that they think pertain to them. But
screw the
That's
Second
exactly
Amendment.
what it looks like too.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. We're headed to a break right now, and
Thank you,
there'll
sir.
be much more to come.
Bye-bye.
No problem.
Bye.
The voice of American conservatism. WRS Digital, Red State Talk Radio.
Hey, Nate,
Yeah, Brian?
you like candy, don't you?
Oh, I love candy.
Well, then you're going to love this site I found. It's Old Time Candy, and they have the kind of candy you ate as a kid.
Oh, really? That's really cool.
Yes, Nate, it is cool. It's the bee's knees and the cat's pajamas. They have candies from the 1920s right up to now. And if you can't decide what you want, you can order various sized decade boxes. They have slow pokes, black cows, wax lips, root beer barrels, fruit stripe gum, atomic fireballs, and the politically incorrect bubblegum cigarettes. They have regional candies you can only get in certain parts of the country, like the Goo Goo Clusters. And they have old-fashioned toys and so much more. If you want a trip to the past, click on the banner on our webpage at www.atoddshow.com. You won't be disappointed.
Real radio for real Americans.
Red State Talk Radio.
Hey, Brian, you like beer
I do.
and liquor too,
Oh, I enjoy a wee bit.
and I've definitely seen you drink a glass of wine or two.
Yes? Why are you asking me all this?
Well, I found an excellent online source for all kinds of spirits. It's called Wine Globe. They have a fantastic selection of wines, beers, and liquors, from moderate price selections up to high-end and hard-to-find brands. So, if you're interested in ordering your favorite drink or exotic spirits, they're all located at your fingertips. All you have to do is head over to www.atoddshow.com, click on the Wine Globe banner, and start your search today. And I'm Nate.
Hey, I'll give you a cookie. Can you name the...
Will you give me a cookie, really?
I'll give you a cookie. Can you name the Vice President of the United States?
Oh, geez. Dan Quayle?
Yep.
All right.
Apparently there were some students in Milwaukee, and they wrote the Vice President a few months ago about gun control issues. And apparently they received a actual handwritten note from the office of the Vice President.
Oh, that's good.
And
I mean, I'm glad to see the administration taking a personal, approach on important issues.
right. And I'll get it, the note will be self-explanatory. You'll understand what the little boy had sent him. I won't use his real name, but I'll say, "Dear Tommy, I am sorry it took me so very long to respond to your letter. I really like your idea. If we had guns that shot chocolate, not only would our country be safer, it would be happier. People love chocolate. You are a good boy, Tommy. All the best, Joe Biden."
Really?
Yep. Right there in vice presidential letterhead. I had it authenticated by a handwriting expert.
You want to go up
I
and...
don't know. It may be his. I don't know, but
You want to pull up the letter that Joe Biden wrote to Chris Kyle's family?
yeah. Let me
American
Google
sniper.
that.
Okay, I'd like to see that. Or and he might have written a letter. I haven't seen it.
I don't. Nothing's coming up.
Maybe Chris Stevens.
Wait a minute. It says go screw yourself.
Chris Stevens' family. Maybe he might have wrote him a letter.
Okay.
No, Doherty or
Go screw yourself
any of
again.
the- Yeah,
Tea
no.
Party.
Huh, okay, well, no, but at least our vice president is writing letters about chocolate bullets to children. because his job is so damn important.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the issue, that he takes the time to write a letter. It's the fact that, the world would be
he's
better
absolutely wrong.
With lollipops
Absolutely
and
wrong.
chocolate and unicorns and rainbows.
Here's the thing. I do think that the time that he took to write a handwritten letter is a problem, because there are form letters being sent to servicemen
True
or
enough.
to their families.
Good point.
Form letters
I can see that, yes.
that aren't even signed. They're just stamped
Yep.
with a signature.
And here's a hot button political agenda, anti-gun vice
that
president
he's wrong about.
That he's going to take
We
the
would
time
not
to write.
be safer. Has he heard of
Little Tommy.
diabetes?
I probably, I don't know.
Yeah, Uncle
You can
Joe.
cure it
Jeez.
with a shotgun.
Talkit@outshow.com. Send us an email. We're going to have a guest pretty soon. I'm excited for that.
New York City, they want to pass a law that says non-citizens that are in the country lawfully can vote on city issues because they pay taxes and they're upstanding citizens. Mayor Bloomberg's against it. I couldn't believe it. Look at all the votes he could get.
He's right for once.
I just can't believe it. And also, what was the other? There was another state that wanted to allow...
California wants to allow him on
California?
juries.
Yeah,
So-
on juries.
Yeah, we've got the two sides of...
So you don't vote on a candidate, you vote on whether someone's guilty or not. But it gives the illegal immigrants a chance to make, $23 a day per diem or whatever it is.
I guess jury
Did I just say that?
of your peers. I guess that means something, huh? When the illegals
when
are
the
in court.
illegals outnumber the lawful people that are in California, then yeah, I guess they are.
Are we allowed to say illegals anymore?
I'm gonna.
Me too.
I heard.
I've
that,
actually reverted back to
I
illegal
heard that
aliens.
discussed by media people whether they should use illegal alien or undocumented.
Oh, not discussed. A whole bunch of them put out
undocumented. What is it? Undocumented what? Resident?
Just
What is it? Undocumented what? I can't think of it now.
Undocumented person.
Yeah. I don't know, but come on.
It's not that they were just discussing it. These news organizations
actually
put out policies.
Yeah, and actually some news policies were saying, illegal alien pretty much describes what they are, and the purpose of writing is to be concise and precise.
I mean, illegal immigrant at least, right? I mean, because
whatever.
alien, that's offensive.
Well, that could be.
I mean,
from
to like ET,
from Saturn.
he's offended, right?
ET's offended. Elliot, got home. Oh well.
Oh man, that movie did a lot for Reese's Pieces, didn't it?
Chocolate bullets. Real quick, before we go to another, are we going to go do a break, or are we going to?
Yeah, we're going to have to go to a break.
We're going to have to, because we have
Burg.
We have to come back with Bob. Apparently, there was a girl in Florida, a high school student, that beat up at least 5 or 6 people, at least documented incidents of that, and one so badly that it cracked her skull and caused hemorrhaging and spinal fluid and brain fluid to ooze out and all this stuff. She was hospitalized, critical condition. And the school saying, we really don't want her back in our school. And other school districts are saying, we really don't want her back in our school. And a judge finally said, you can't do that. She has a constitutional right to an education, and I don't care how you do it. She's going into somebody's school. So God help the school that has to accept her as a student. I mean, I remember the days when, you were, and this is back in the 50s when I was a kid, you smoked a cigarette in school, and, you were kicked out for good.
Yeah.
And now you assault somebody to near death, and you get to come back in because we're going to give you the 6th chance because, you've already assaulted and beat up 5 people.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the problems with public education.
Why isn't she charged?
Well, there's that too.
And go to,
First of all, you
juvie.
don't have a right to education. I don't believe that. But if we had all privatized schools, could have schools that would specialize in these sort of things. I mean, we do now, but they're not as accessible as they could be.
You mean specialized in juvenile delinquents?
Yeah, I mean prison.
All right.
No, but yes, yeah, we do.
I know
we
what
do
you
have-
meant.
We do
That
have
was what you
schools.
meant.
Yeah.
It's School of Hard Knocks. I think that's where it is.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, we had the alternative education program, it was a public program, but I mean,
their mascot was the brass knuckles.
It was, and that was if you were lucky. But we're going to take a break here. Hopefully, we'll be coming back with Bobby. Should be calling in shortly, and have a lot to talk about him, his book, The Go-Giver, and free market capitalism.
Yeah, if you want to make $1 billion, stay tuned.
Red State Talk Radio.
The idea of government taking over healthcare is an
Voice.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-257-2873. 1-800-257-2873. 1-800-257-2873. That's 1-800-257-2873.
Great shot, Bob. I think you're on.
I just followed your lead.
Hey, by the way, did you break ground on your new building?
No way. I'm holding off until I see what the future holds.
So you're seeing a fortune teller?
You know what I mean. Things look a little uncertain.
The only thing certain in business is if you're not growing, you're losing. Yeah, we just opened our 5th facility last week. If you're following my lead, you'll call General Steel. Their pre-engineered steel buildings could save you as much as half the cost compared to conventional buildings. And they're up in nearly half the time, and back with a 50-year structural warranty.
Yeah, but steel buildings...
Hey, you've seen my building. Does it look like steel?
No, it looks great.
Ask about rebates that could save you up to $20,000. Look, you can stop paying rent and own a building that suits your business better and probably saves you money by operating more efficiently. In times like these, don't stop spending, just spend wisely.
800-398-8309, 800-398-8309, 800-398-8309, 800-398-8309.
Red State Talk Radio.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 15 years? At the Life Insurance Quote Line, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Rates for women are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-610-3497. 800-610-3497. That's 800-610-3497. Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
All right, we're back, and we do have Bob Burg on the line. I want to say that Bob is an advocate, supporter, and defender of the free enterprise system, believing that the amount of money one makes is directly proportional to how many people they serve. He's a founding member of Club 100, a charitable organization focused on helping underprivileged local area youths. He's a lover of animals. He is the past member of the board of directors of Safe Harbor. He's authored many books, and today we'll be discussing his book, The Go-Giver. Now, this book was number 6 on the Wall Street Journal's business bestseller. Not too shabby. This just 6 weeks after its success, and it reached number 9 on Business Week. It's been translated into 21 languages. It is his 4th book, to sell over 250,000 copies, and Nate and I are envious because our book hasn't sold nearly that many. You can find more about Mr. Burg at his website, www.burg.com, or find his site on our site under our guest page. We'd like to welcome Bob to At Odds. How are you?
I'm great. Brian and Nate, terrific to be with you both.
Well, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Hey, tell us a little bit about your book. Just kind of give us a general overview.
Yeah, it's a business parable, a business fable, so it really is a work of fiction. It's a short, quick read, takes about an hour and a half. I co-authored it with John David Mann, who's a terrific storyteller and was really the lead writer. I'm much more of a how-to person.
Yeah.
Step 1, step 2, step 3. It's really the story about a guy named Joe who is a young, up-and-coming, aggressive, ambitious sales guy, business guy, good guy, but he sort of has his priorities a little bit off, and what happens is he meets a mentor along the way, and he learns a lesson, which is simply that, and this is really the premise of the book itself, is that shifting one's focus, and that's the key, the focus, from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing value to others, to the marketplace. And that doing that is not only a nice way to live life, but it's a very financially profitable way as well.
Now, we're going to get into some of those 5 values, but, it sounds like common sense. When did you figure out these 5 principles? How did you come about doing that?
Well, the principles themselves were really just a matter of studying. I started out as a broadcaster and then graduated into sales about 30 years ago. And as I studied sales and studied really what it took to be able to best bring value to another person, which in a free market-based economy, not that we live in a total free market-based economy, of course, we live in a mixed economy, but to the degree that we do live in a market-based economy, you only make money by providing value to another person, because in a market-based economy, nobody has to buy from you. That's where Adam Smith was so brilliant in The Wealth of Nations. He understood that the more market-based an economy is, the more the consumer is the boss. So we have to. It's not a matter of just being nice. The reason you provide value is because that's the only way you're going to do business with someone. We say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder to value's lightning, which means nothing more than that the value must be the focus. The value comes first, and the money you make is simply a direct and natural result of the value you provide.
It sounds simple. I mean, that's kind of the capitalist way. Yeah.
It is simple, yeah.
All right. Now your first law, we'll get into it, is the law of value, which you touched on. I mean, go into a little bit more detail. What is that, the law of value?
Well, it simply says that your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, this sounds a little counterproductive at first because it sounds like we're saying don't make a profit. How do I give more in value than I take in payment and stay in business? Never mind thrive in business.
Right.
We simply have to understand the difference between price and value, and the difference is substantial. Price is a dollar amount. It's a dollar figure. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, whatever, that brings with it so much worth, so much value, that someone will willingly, again, free market, willingly exchange their money for this value and be ecstatic that they did while you make a healthy profit. This is as simple as you hiring an accountant to do your taxes. When your book, and I know your book's going to sell millions and millions of copies. When it does, you're going to need a whole new accountant to figure all this out. But let's say he charges you, we'll just name a round figure, $1,000. Okay, that's his fee or his price. But what's the value he gives you in exchange? Well, he saves you $5,000 in taxes. He saves you 30 hours of work you'd have to do, and he provides you with the security and the peace of mind of knowing it was done correctly. So what he did is, while he gave you well over $5,000 in value while taking just $1,000 in payment. He gave you more in value than what he took in payment, so you feel great about it. But understand, he made a very, very healthy profit, which he should.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the barter system. I hate mowing my lawn, and I will happily pay somebody, a young boy or whatever, to mow my lawn for a value, and he and I would negotiate what that value is. And if he agrees on that and I agree on it, we are both happy. He makes money, and I get value for that dollar.
And that's what's so great about a market-based exchange. Both parties come away from the exchange better off than they were before the exchange, and that's why. Although unfortunately the political left believes that it's a zero-sum game, it isn't. When government gets out of the way, and of course they need to carry out their legitimate functions, protecting against force and fraud. But other than that, their only job is to create an environment where people can exchange freely with one another, value for value. And when that happens, the pie gets expanded. We all build through creativity and entrepreneurship, and in providing value, the pie just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we create huge abundance, which at one time was allowed to happen, but over the last 100 years or so, of course, that's been whittling away.
Yeah, and to use the lawn mowing example, if I get 3 young boys that are ambitious that come to my house and say, I'll mow your lawn for $20, and one says 15 and one says 12, even though I might choose the one that says 15 because he picks up the clippings and provides us more value for cutting the lawn, then I feel that it's worth paying him the 15 as opposed to the 12.
I'm glad you said that. That's perfect, because it isn't just. It's not a. See, when people sell on low price, when they try, unless their name is Walmart, okay, they do a good job of selling on low price. But for most of us, for most people, selling on low price is a losing proposition. When you sell on low price, when you sell on price, you're a commodity. When you sell on value, you're a resource.
Right.
And so low price isn't the only determining factor. And that's why I tell today's entrepreneur, don't try to go low on price. Instead, try to communicate, figure out your value, and then communicate that value to others.
Yeah, and surely this ties in a bit to the second law we have here, the law of compensation. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. Well, the law of compensation says your income is determined by how many people you serve, as well as how well you serve them. So where law number 1 says to give more in value than you take in payment, law number 2 tells us that the more people whose lives you add that kind of exceptional value to, the more money with which you'll be rewarded. If that accountant who did such a great job of giving more in value than he took in payment, if you're his client, you feel great about him, you do business with him again, and you'd refer him to others. Well, his other clients feel the same way. So our accountant is amassing what we call an army of personal walking ambassadors. And as he continues to add that kind of exceptional value to the lives of more and more people, his income will continue to grow and grow. In other words, as Nicole, one of the mentors in the story, tells Joe, the protege, law number 1 represents your potential income. Law number 2 represents your actual income. In other words, exceptional value plus significant reach equals very high compensation.
Okay, yeah, and of course that also affects your influence, which is the third law that you have here, the law of influence. Is that touching on your ability to influence people to give you revenue, to give you business, things like that?
Well, sure. The law of influence says that your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Now, again, this sounds counterproductive at best and downright Pollyanna-ish at worst. But notice something. The greatest leaders, the top influencers, the hugely successful, financially profitable salespeople, this is how they run their lives and conduct their business. They're always operating. They move from an I focus to what we call an other focus, always focused on the other person. Now, in the story, one of the mentors, Sam, tells Joe that what he calls the golden rule of business, and that is, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And you know what? There's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you and others than by, again, stepping outside yourself and simply looking for ways to provide value to others.
Yeah, and that's a good example. I mean, I go to a local diner in my town. It's a small little town I live in, and it's not that beautiful, but the food is okay. but the service is excellent. They know me, they treat me well, they know my name, they fill my coffee up. I go there over and over again because I get some value based on, and some service. And so
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and so I'm a repeat.
It's just differently than what other people might look. To you and to me, and I'm the same way. The value they provide to me is they make me feel good about myself.
Right.
They make me feel important by coming in. They're friendly to me. The food can be average, but if they make me feel great coming in, hey, so what we say is that value can be communicated many ways, probably thousands of ways, but it usually comes down to these 5 what we call elements of value, and that is excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation.
Yeah.
And the more of those that you can communicate when doing business with another person, what happens is even in a commodity-based society, or even if you're in a commodity-based business, you become that extra value, and people respond to that.
And it's really lost today on young people. I mean, when I'm treated nice at that diner, I reflect that in my tip.
Right, exactly.
And so
yeah.
I tip well, and the people that serve me, they appreciate that. But they're giving me something that I appreciate, because I can go anywhere else and get bacon and eggs, but I go there because I get something for it. And that's what young people need to realize, is they have to give more and be professional in order to get rewards. And it does work. And you might get stiffed once in a while, but overall, you're going to do better than someone who is surly and not very professional.
Absolutely. I even go into, when I speak at schools sometimes, when I'm doing a corporate seminar, and a lot of times if I have an extra day, somebody will, one of my clients will have a kid at school, or they know the principal, they'll see if I come in to speak. And I always love doing that, talking to kids about entrepreneurship and free markets. And I'll always say, I don't care if you're working in a pizza restaurant, if you're detailing cars, mowing lawns, when your customer or client, what have you, says thank you, don't ever say no problem. Don't even say you're welcome. Say my pleasure.
Yeah,
because that's
it's
a huge
attitude.
difference.
Yeah, it's attitude too.
Yeah, exactly. When you're going for a job, and you the next day, make sure you send a handwritten, personalized thank you note to the person who interviews you. You're the only one who's done it, and you're going to get the job.
Yeah, that does make a difference. Absolutely, and those things are lost on kids today. The law of authenticity, number 4.
Well, this says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself.
Yeah.
In the story, Deborah, one of the mentors, realized early in her career that all the skills in the world, the sales skills, technical skills, even people skills, as important as they are, and they are, of course, very, very important, they're all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do show up as yourself, day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel good about you. They're comfortable with you. They know you. They like you. They trust you. They respect you. Excuse me. They respect you. I think that was one of the strengths of President Reagan, that even people who didn't like his policies, they still felt very secure with him as president, because they always knew where he stood.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and I remember back that I think it was 60 Minutes did sort of an expose of showing some of his speeches from when he was running for governor of California back in the 60s, and then they put that next to some speeches when he was running for president, and they were the exact same words, and they were using that as a way to disrespect him, as though this guy doesn't come up with anything new or so. No, I thought it was great. It shows this guy is so on message. He doesn't have to change his message. It's so principle-based.
Yeah.
And, I just got through reading Coolidge by Amity Shlaes.
Oh, yeah.
What a wonderful, magnificent book. Coolidge is probably my favorite president anyway. But he was very, very consistent. You always knew, everyone knew where they stood with Silent Cal. So authenticity is very important. And I think people have that sort of meter these days where they can much more easily sense when someone, rather than being authentic, is being sort of I guess the Latin term would be phonus balonus, when they're not really being themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's so much easier and more profitable to be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's dive into the 5th law here, the law of receptivity.
This simply says the key to effective giving, and again, when we say giving, we mean giving of value. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Just like breathing out and breathing in are simply two sides of the very same coin. The same for giving and receiving. People often think the two are opposites. You're either a giver or a receiver. Not at all. That's the false dilemma, the unnecessary use of the word or. It's not give or receive. It's give and receive. But the key is where your focus is. When you focus on the giving of value, when you focus on providing value to your prospect, your customer, your client, when you focus on a way of creating value for the marketplace, you set in motion that which will allow you to receive. And you simply have to be able to accept that, to be receptive to that happening.
All right, why don't you just, we're getting close to our time, why don't you just reiterate again on where they can get your book?
Sure, they can visit Burg.com, and that's BURG.com. They can visit my blog, and I have all sorts of different areas, talk about politics. I have a whole series of socialism versus capitalism, and they can download Chapter 1 of The Go-Giver and at the site, and I look forward to seeing them there.
And there's a video that kind of gives an overview.
There is. There's one video of me speaking, and there's on the right-hand side, there's one of those whiteboard overviews, animated whiteboard overviews of the Go-Giver, which is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a lot of fun, so watch that, and then at the end you can download Chapter 1.
I saw that. It's great.
Thank you.
You mentioned socialism versus capitalism.
You're a socialist, right?
That would be incorrect.
Oh, okay.
How do you think the current administration is doing as far as that goes when you talk about socialists versus capitalists, and what effect do you think that'll have long term on
now we're
the
putting them on the spot?
Yeah, we are.
Well, no, it's not really putting me on the spot because I think it's just fairly obvious from what we've seen. I think in a sense that while the whole administration is socialist at heart, I think they've almost been more statist than they have been socialist, the way it's manifested. But I think, unfortunately, that's in their heart. I always feel bad for Jay Carney when he's doing his press conferences. I always want to say bless his heart because he looks so uncomfortable up there saying things that he just knows are not true and having to say it. And I just almost feel badly for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. He has to know what he's saying isn't true.
You look at his face and you can see it on his face. I always want to...
I'm sure there's 1,000 psychologists that do the, how to detect someone's lying. They're just having a field day with writing dissertations and master's thesis and using his press releases as slideshows for his classes because it's got to be something. Well,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say the tough thing about it is that socialism, unfortunately, the educational system, which of course is a government-sponsored educational system, it's a government monopoly, but it doesn't teach what capitalism really is. It
just the opposite.
What socialism really is. And so when information is, when you come to a conclusion based on a false premise, that conclusion by its very nature can never be correct. And so first we need to be able to educate people as to what capitalism really is. It's not cronyism. When I hear people use the word crony capitalist, it drives me crazy because just the fact that it has the word capitalist in there confuses people. Right. And I always say that crony capitalism is to capitalism what Chinese checkers is to checkers. Nothing.
Just not the same.
There is nothing about it that's true. And yet people get that idea, which is really tough. So they don't know hey, capitalism isn't utopia, but it's still great. It's by far a system that's going to make it so that even the poor in a truly capitalist country will be much better off than just about all the people in a socialist country.
Absolutely.
So, we really have to just keep educating the public and do it in a way that doesn't make people defensive, but allows them to kind of join the conversation.
All right, Bob, here I'm putting you on the spot. You've got less than a minute.
Okay.
Describe how the free market benefits everyone.
Well, the free market system by its very nature continually builds value for everyone involved, so that even when you have a product or a service, First of all, it's a product that someone wants. So that's the first thing. They get their choice. They want that product. What happens is the money that's then given to the person who sells that value, sells that product, they then are going to expand. They're going to have more money to expand their operation. They're going to hire more people. Those people will have money to spend. They'll spend it at places where people are exchanging value, and then on and on and on. So by the very nature of a capitalistic system, it not only allows people to be free to live their lives as they see fit, providing they don't infringe upon anyone else's right to do the same, but everyone gets to grow richer.
Yeah, it seems like free market capitalism is much more compassionate than socialism, which is just the opposite of what we hear from liberals, you know.
Yeah.
So, but we are out of time, Bob. I want to thank you for
much.
joining us. We'll send everyone over to Burg.com to check out your book, all of your other books too. Do you have any books coming out? I mean, are you working on any now, or?
Yeah, I have a new one coming out in October, which is called Adversaries into Allies.
Oh.
And it's the art of positive persuasion,
That's
being able
great.
to get what you want while making others genuinely feel good about themselves.
Well, send us a note when that comes out, and we'll have you on again talking about that, because that's something everybody can use, regardless if they're in business or not.
Well, thank you.
Just in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to thank you again. Check out his website, www.burg.com. Order his book. I think if anybody that's in business, either for themselves or working for someone else that has any aspect of sales or business, should check this book out. As Bob said, it's a short read, and it's very fundamental. And if you apply these laws, I think you'll see positive results.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. And that is about all the time we have.
All right.
So
Thank you.
See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.